That was hilarious. I guess something that people want is finally coming to Vancouver soon. Some nice sunlight out here today. Might be a good contrast with the trees. Okay, what did I read today? Basically, they have drone deliveries and stuff coming out in various places in the world. One of them is basically the Google stuff. And if you guys remember, there was that argument in Australia where the drones made too much noise and so forth. So because of that, I guess they should, so to speak, ground it. But then this one's kind of interesting. It says here, Google affiliated drone delivery company clashes with government over safety and noise concerns. The federal government's move to dodge responsibility for noise in the emerging drone delivery sector has been met by opposition from the surprising source, the world's leading drone delivery company. So that's kind of interesting. It's one of those, we'll let you guys deal with it instead. It says an issue paper released as part of a federal drone noise review recommends the states and territories take on responsibility from the federal government for regulating drone noise. Jonathan Bass, global head of marketing at Wing, rejected the suggestion and linked the issue of noise to the overall aviation safety regime. Quote, "We think that it could have unintended consequences for safety. We believe the federal government should regulate anything that occurs in the airspace, and noise should be considered as part of other impacts of that review." Wing's delivery drone services are currently available to people in the northern suburbs of Canberra and parts of the Logan in Queensland. So that is kind of weird to think about, where it's basically, no, we want you guys to regulate all this. Because in many cases you'd be saying like, no, less regulation. Whereas I guess there are arguments many times where people say everything like the airspace should be regulated federally, I guess not like provincially and all that. And at the same time, in this case, that's an interesting, I guess, perspective saying noise and so forth, it should be more about things like the safety of the aircraft. So if you need, I guess, a louder propeller that's more safe and all that, then it's a better choice. But it would be an issue, of course, for these drones that are flying over certain people's properties with the noise. Then again, I'm not really sure how often they actually fly there, and at the same time, is it any difference in terms of any other thing that they would hear, let's say, occasionally? Like not even delivery, some guy mowing the lawn or something like that? It dives into that point. It says, early trials by Wing, part of Google group of companies, has been plagued by noise complaints from neighbors. It forced the company to develop a new propeller system that minimizes noise for neighbors. Measured at 69 decibels from 15 meters away, the noise level is equivalent to a loud television, a busy office, or a leaf blower. Wing argues the sound is less intrusive than any other neighbor noises, which may continue for a longer duration. That's kind of the thought that I was wondering as well, like how noisy is it in general in terms of other things around you? Because to be fair, if you say that thing's too noisy and should be banned, then everything else technically should be banned as well. I just know in terms of noise, even when testing that Mavic Mini in the store, I just know the bigger propellers, like even with like say the Mavic 2, it just sounds more, I guess, pleasant to the ear. Like everything like the Air and the Mini, to me it sounds more, I don't know, it's more high pitched. So maybe if they change stuff like that, it would be okay with people too. It's kind of interesting how they show this chart too, I guess, in terms of the noise level compared to other things. I guess like lawnmowers, leaf blowers, like they say, and trucks and all that. It says, bureaucrats were originally unaware the federal government was responsible for drone noise. A national drone noise review was commenced earlier this year. The federal government's issue paper suggests states are better placed to address local noise issues. And it says here, quote, many drones are not like other aircraft, with the ability for drones to operate far closer to people on the ground and operating shorter distances than other aircraft. The proximity of drone operations to the community in built-up and residential areas raises the question of whether the states and territories or local government are better placed than the Commonwealth government to regulate drones. And I guess in terms of that safety narrative, basically they say here, Wing's submission also cautions against regulating drones based on, quote, societal benefit. For example, whether one is delivering emergency medical supplies, noting cars are not regulated by whether they are taking a doctor to work or a child to school. Submission to the National Drone Noise Review closed on Friday. And ultimately, the interesting question too, should all this stuff be regulated federally? I know here in terms of airspace, like in general it is, although people usually argue there's conflicting, I guess, laws just with local places and all that. But ultimately, like with things like the airspace in general, the federal law rules. Alright, see you guys later.